All right, my people, what is going on? It is your boy Mario, aka DJ Rebelations, and I'm bringing you a new episode of Rebelations Reacts right now. Thank you so much, once again, every single one of you who continue coming back. I'm so grateful for all the new subscribers to the channel. It's a blessing every single time I see one. You know, like I'm grateful. I'm grateful to the people that are leaving comments. Thank you so much, especially in the latest video that I made about POD and Korn and their influence in my life and how they got me a little bit closer to God. Not necessarily the bands, but a couple of members of the bands. You can check it out in the video right over here. And yeah, I really hope you can check it out. It's hopefully going to change somebody's life. Hopefully, maybe not yours, maybe somebody you know that is into the new metal wave of rock music, right? But other than that, like, it's just a very positive and very personal video that I made about a point in my life, and I really hope that y'all check it out, okay? So today's video is related to a series that I put up a few weeks ago, maybe a month ago, and it is about the topic of the Nephilim. Who are the Nephilim? Who are the Nephilim? Because according to Bible scripture, the Nephilim are still among us, okay? So in a nutshell, Nephilim are a hybrid of humans mixing with angelic beings. I know, right? It's a lot to digest. It sounds like, you know, a fairy tale, but it's actually in the Bible, right? And some of you might even think that the Bible's a fairy tale, but that's not up for debate right here on this show, because here we are a God-fearing, God Bible-believing channel. Cool? But I'm not here to be all preachy and stuff like that. I'm here to just share different perspectives, right? I am obsessed with the topic of the Nephilim, so I really, really want you to check this out, okay? Today's reaction video is going to be from a podcast that's called Ninjas and Butterfly, and their main brand is called Sunday Cool. Ninjas and Butterflies, I have no idea how they came up with the name, but I absolutely love it. I love their trailer for their actual, like, their intro to their theme, right, of Ninjas and Butterflies. Shout out to Chris Farley, rest in peace. He's actually in the clip. These guys from Ninjas and Butterflies, they are Christian folks, right? But they don't really like push it on you, and they're not your traditional Christians, you know? I've seen episodes where they're getting tattoos on the show, which is really, really cool. I would love to get a tattoo on the show one day, you know, over here on the podcast. But yeah, they talk about different topics. They talk about a lot of conspiracy theories, Bible conspiracies. Whoa, it's okay. Yeah, so this case, I came across a video that they uploaded, and it's about the connection between Alexander the Great and the Nephilim, right? So I don't want to spoil too much. Let's get right into it, okay?
Do you know what a lot of people don't love, though? Mainly the Persians.
Oh. What?
Why? I love Persians.
No, I'm saying you know what the Persians don't love.
Oh, I thought you said, you know what people don't love? Mostly the Persians.
Mostly the
I'm telling you guys, yo, these guys are funny. Their delivery, it's next level. They start every episode, they start it with like a song that they wrote. Sometimes it's a cover of some popular song, but they just add their own flavor, their own lyrics to it. But anyways, keep it.
That's what they don't love.
I don't know.
Alexander the Great.
Okay.
True.
Why?
It's true.
Because
He's
conquered
great.
them.
He's in the name. It's great.
Yeah, but he's also probably Nephilim.
No way. Wait, that makes sense though.
Okay, explain to me like I'm dumb. What did Alexander the Great do?
He conquered all of Persia. He's from Greece or Macedonia.
Got it.
And he fought the Persians, but then went on this campaign to where he's like, I'm going to reach the end of the world. And so just started conquering all the way into India. And then basically a coup formed and everyone went back. But
How'd he die?
he died in Babylon.
Wait, so did he mention, I'm sorry, like in this part of history, I'm not 100% like clear. Did they say that they retreated from India, right? Or they conquered it? I don't think they conquered India at all, right? That was the British, but yeah. Can you imagine if they had conquered India? Interesting.
Under weird circumstances. They think he was either poisoned, but let me get to that.
Yeah, go ahead. Shoot.
So when I say Alexander the Great was potentially Nephilim, or had Nephilim DNA, or was somehow connected to the spiritual realm, it starts off with his mother, who her name was Olympias, right?
Okay.
And she was married to King Philip II of Macedonia. And he was the king of Macedonia. And just for some history, so Macedonia was north of Greece, and the Greeks treated Macedonia like how the early English treated like Scotland, like the Highlands, like they're a bunch of barbarians. They don't know anything. So King Philip II, basically the Persians were just kicking the Greeks' butts constantly. And so he united all the clans of Macedonia rose up, went to Greece, attacked a bunch of dudes. They all formed together, and then he was about to do his campaign towards Persia, right? The Persian Empire, and his bodyguard killed him.
Oh no.
And
She's like, oh no, while knitting. Is this so interesting? Sorry, I had to stop it there for a second. You know, like the ability to form an uprising during that time without social media, without any kind of, you know, technological media, not even a newspaper, right? But this guy was able, people in general were able to just spread the word somehow, you know, word of mouth that, hey, we want change. We want to do something different. Let's rise together. Let's overthrow the powers that be, right? It's just, what excuse do we have today, you know, when we want our voices heard, right? Like, we're not as brave as people were back then.
And they believe that it was Olympias, his wife, that potentially killed him because she wanted Alexander the Great to go and do it because she believed that he was half God.
Oh.
Because her story to Alexander was that he was not the son of Philip II, but was the son of Zeus Ammon, which is basically this god that was basically Zeus and the god Ammon from Egypt, which was the god of lightning and the god of all gods, came together. The story goes that either Zeus Ammon disguised himself as a serpent to impregnate her, also could have come in the form of lightning, it said.
Oh my
So
gosh.
serpent or lightning. And so that's how Alexander the Great was conceived.
How does she know this? How did she come to this conclusion?
That's just, she's saying this is what happened to me.
Okay.
Well, you're not the son of Philip II, you're the son of Zeus Ammon.
Got it.
And so Alexander the Great believed he was half God, half deity, right? But the stories of this legend of what he did was just like undefeated. He was just so wise on the battlefield and was just conquering everything. And so many people were behind him. He was so brilliant. And he went into Egypt, right? And he went to this place. Where is it?
So let me stop it right there, you know. There's a thin line between believing a lie and... Sorry, let me start that again. So basically, Alexander's mom told him that, yo, you're half God. You're not the son of King Philip. You are half God. Can you imagine what that must have done to him psychologically? Could he have conquered everything that he did if he didn't believe that he was a god? Like, was it a placebo pill that she offered him, you know, letting him think that he was a god? What if that information was never shared with him? What if he was always led to believe that he was the son of King Philip? Right? Would he have been able to conquer what he did? Would he have been as confident, right, to believe that? You know, that he was on a divine mission, I guess you could say. Or did he abuse his divinity, right? Did it turn him into a monster, thinking that he can just conquer everything, whatever he wanted, because of the fact that he was part God or Nephilim?
They call it the Oracle. Where else? Give me a second.
I want to be called an oracle so bad.
Yeah, so
Oh, another thing. He was also taught by Aristotle.
What?
Alexander the Great, his teacher was Aristotle.
that's crazy.
Every time we talk about history, I just realize I don't know any of the timeline.
Same here, bro. I gotta fact check this. Really? Was it Aristotle? It's actually very interesting.
Timeline.
Me
This
neither.
would be the three.
That's actually very interesting. Let's do a little Google search here. Did Aristotle mentor Alexander? Yes, Aristotle was a tutor to Alexander the Great. Aristotle taught Alexander for 3 years, starting with Alexander when Alexander was a teenager. Aristotle taught Alexander about leadership, race, natural science, philosophy, and mathematics. Aristotle introduced Alexander to the Iliad, which inspired Alexander to idealize Achilles as a courageous warrior king. Aristotle advised Alexander to treat conquered men with kindness and to seek to accommodate them to his concepts. Okay, so it wasn't necessarily taught to be a barbarian, which is humble, I guess you can say. Aristotle was an ancient Greek philosopher and scientist who was born in Macedonia. His work covered many subjects including biology, logic, metaphysics, psychology, meteorology, politics, literary criticism, poetry, drama, and ethics. Okay, so, you know, if you didn't know that, now you know, along with me.
300 BC
Okay.
era. Yeah.
Okay.
Where is it? Siwa.
300 BC. That was a while ago. Like, this is before Jesus' times. Interesting.
Oracle. So that was this place off of. So we founded Alexandria, right? Which was also where the library was built, the Library of
wow.
Alexandria. And they're saying that's a connection to where he went out throughout the entire world and collected all this hidden knowledge and
Wow.
brought it back, created Alexandria, and that's where the library was formed. But he went to this oracle, and it says when he stepped in, the oracles said, "Welcome." They basically said like, "Welcome Anon," which is the god of gods, right? To them.
Yeah.
So without even knowing who he was, really, they said, "Welcome.
Spooky.
We know who you are."
They just knew.
Or son of Anon. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Amun.
How did they realize that? They
I
just-
don't know. There are some oracles in this one part of Egypt or whatever. But even the ancient Jews and Muslims have this story of Alexander fighting the Nephilim and containing them, and because he wanted to be the one to defeat all of them.
Yeah.
And so there's this thing. It's called I believe, the Alexander Romance. I have so many notes.
It's a bad romance.
The Alexandria Romance. So is this basically, are they trying to say that they can prove that Alexander was a Nephilim?
Where is it? Yeah, the medieval story of Alexander Romance recounts how Alexander built a massive gate between two mountains to imprison Gog and Magog. Often it's talked about in scripture. Of
So
like
a
that's-
literal gate, like a literal
Yeah.
prison. And so they dug down underneath the lakes.
Yeah, and I was like looking at him like, is there any chance that like, I just like went off on all these rabbit trails. Is there any chance that Alexander the Great would have known about the Watchers or the Book of Enoch or anything? And there is, because the Book of Enoch, at least the Book of Watchers, was written during the time of Alexander the Great.
Really?
Whoa.
And that was passed down originally through oral tradition. And then if you know anything about Alexander the Great and what he did, he was in Israel and befriended a priest in Israel
Wow.
who taught him things. And then he went down to Egypt and learned all this stuff.
There's no way he wouldn't have heard about it.
Right.
Gosh.
There's a very high chance that he would have known about the Watchers and
That's-
this divine being presence kind of thing. But to say all that, so he went and conquered the world, right? And then when he went to India, said that he fought these like mystical creatures and stuff, like this crazy stuff in India. But his men, they originally set out on this campaign to be like, yes, we're going to conquer Persia, right? And then we're going to be loaded, go home, buy whatever we want. But Alexander the Great's like, no, we're going to keep going. And basically the whole army was like, we're done with this. They've been conquering the world for 10 years now. So they've been
Wow.
away from home for 10 years. And so they finally were about to form a coup, and Alexander the Great's like, all right, we'll go back. Goes back. He's in Babylon. And then all of a sudden he's struck and ill and then just dies. But where the crazy theory part comes into place, this conspiracy part, is they said that his body laid exactly the same and didn't decompose for over 6 days.
Oh,
And
What
then
could have done that?
they're saying that because he potentially had this Nephilim
Yeah.
blood, whatever, kind of like how we talked about Nimrod or Gilgamesh, how they uncovered his tomb and he was perfectly
Yeah.
preserved, right?
Yeah.
He like didn't rot away. So they're saying this was the same scenario with Alexander the Great. And so they built him this elaborate golden casket, and they're going to bring him back to Macedonia. And on their way there, it got hijacked and went to Alexandria.
Mm.
And ever since then, no one knows where his tomb is.
do you think that maybe he burned?
Okay, so that's fascinating, right? I mean, it's cool in theory. I mean, there's no way for us to prove this, right? That Alexander didn't decay for 6 days. I mean, why? I mean, that to me doesn't really prove a whole lot, or it doesn't support any theory about him being a Nephilim. But because right now, basically, what we're going with is his mom told him that, hey, you're half god. That's about it.
Alexandria.
With the books?
I don't know. But there's these theories that are out there that either the Vatican is somehow involved with the stealing of his tomb,
Typical.
or the, what do you call them?
Hollywood.
Blinken. Knights Templar
Okay, yeah.
Interesting.
went and stole it. So a lot of this theory of stealing his body goes into the whole occult, Freemason,
Oh, boy.
Rosicrucian, all that
Nephilim
Vatican.
DNA.
Yeah. Kind of like how if Gilgamesh's tomb was discovered,
Yeah.
how the U.S. government came in and took it
Yeah.
because he had some sort of DNA that they wanted to use. They're saying the same thing could have happened to Alexander the Great.
Wow.
These
Interesting.
great warriors.
Yeah.
So who nowadays is that person?
I don't know.
Is that DNA still running?
That's what I was gonna say. I'm like, people back in the day were doing stuff, you know.
Yeah.
Now
I just think it's
what are we
amazing.
doing?
We were so advanced back then, dude. The pyramids could not be duplicated today. Imagine all the knowledge within the Library of Alexandria.
Yeah. This is all complete conspiracy based too.
Yeah.
That this is like
Oh, yeah. I mean, like,
complete
there's-
offshoot of like, because it is history, but there were really weird scenarios, true things that were said. Like his mother really did say that. He really did believe that he was related to Achilles and Hercules, the
Yeah.
son of Zeus.
Yeah.
That wasn't uncommon though in that culture.
You're right. Yeah.
You know.
But the fact that he was able to basically conquer anything he wanted.
Mm-hmm.
And he died at the age of 32 as well. So he was conquering all this stuff in his 20s.
That's crazy.
That's nuts. And so they're
Yeah.
literally just on a road trip. They don't go back home. They just conquer.
Yeah.
He just has an army. And so, oh man,
Dude,
I got to learn more about Alexander the Great.
Yeah,
I could send you some stuff. It's really cool.
I'm reading about it right now. It's insane. Like
Yeah.
the fact that he got to that city to destroy it, and then the priest walked out and was talking to him, brought him in, and then he was like, "I'm not going to do this." And he
Wow, that's a lot of information to take in, because, I mean, it's a lot of hearsay, but I mean, it's I guess it's on paper, right? That his mother did say that to him. Interesting.
so forgive me if I'm like duplicating your.
Well,
Repeat
story.
everything you said.
Yeah, I was like, I
the
might
theory
be.
is that so a lot of the history of Alexander the Great was written hundreds of years after his death.
Yeah.
And so a lot of it was just like oral tradition, stuff like that. But even Josephus, the Jewish historian scholar that wrote about Jesus and stuff, he wrote about Alexander the Great meeting the priest in Israel. And they speculate that Alexander the Great, knowing this background or believing that he was this demigod, whatever, that he was obsessed with understanding more of the knowledge of, you would call it the occult, but like the knowledge of the Watchers.
Yeah.
And so that's why he got like this high of like, I need to explore all these places where there, in fact, still are Nephilim, and learn as much as I can, because I'm going to rule the world.
Yeah, it gives you power.
Well,
Yeah.
it's like two things. The high priest said he took him to the passages in Daniel where it's talking about someone was going to destroy the Persians, and he proclaimed over him. He's like, "I've met you. This is you. This prophecy is about you."
Wow.
But then combined with the belief that he was a half god, he dove fully into all the legends and apparently was obsessed with researching. So the
Yeah.
library, he was trying to uncover not just information but his own history. Like he was like psycho, like believed I am.
I mean, hey, if somebody told me that I was a god, and we lived in a different time, I would probably believe it as well, and obsess over it. Research as much as I could, right?
And he proclaimed over him. He's like, "I've met you. This is you. This prophecy is about you."
Wow.
But then combined with the belief that he was a half god, he dove fully into all the legends and apparently was obsessed with researching. So the
Yeah.
library, he was trying to uncover not just information but his own history. Like he was like psycho, like believed I am him.
Yeah.
That's
It's weird.
That's so wild.
The history of Alexander the Great is fascinating, though.
I'm just trying to comprehend like that at that time. Life is so different, so much more intense, so much more serious, so much more life and death.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
I just thought it was
Honestly.
fascinating, too, of like just the connection of like Israel and Egypt, and like
Yeah,
the
it
Israel
happened at the same
thing
time.
alone to me was like really cool to see that he like went and met with this priest in Israel, and this priest was showing him like the book of Daniel and these prophecies.
Yeah.
And he's like, "Oh, that's me.
Dude,
I'm the one who destroyed
Enoch was
Persia."
around. He was reading the Iliad. All of this legendary stuff. Dude, it's all real and it's all connected.
I'm telling you.
Ninjas are butterflies.
Okay, so yeah, that was a clip from Ninjas Are Butterflies. What do you think? This is history, folks. Like, a lot of this stuff is documented, right? Alexander the Great was clearly real and did conquer a lot at a very young age. Like, was that normal, for somebody to be able to do that without some sort of supernatural aid? Who knows? But yeah, if you found this video interesting, please do your own research. Go on Google, research as much of this as you can. Let me know in the comments what you find. I would be truly grateful if you did that, so that way I can research, what you came across. Right? So I'm your boy DJ Rebelations. Thank you so much for tuning into this episode of Rebelations Reacts. Once again, I am obsessed with the topic of Nephilim. You're definitely going to hear more in the near future as more videos come out, new truths or conspiracies are uncovered. Okay, so please subscribe to the channel if you haven't. Leave a comment. Please like the video. Share it with somebody. And I really hope that you tune in to the following episodes after this. All right? Take it easy. Peace.